The Seattle Seahawks deserve and demand more respect.
The moment the Seattle Seahawks locked in their latest roster and scheme changes, the NFL realized the nightmare scenario had arrived. For years, Seattle was labeled as rebuilding, transitional, or quietly dangerous at best. That narrative just got smoked.
Sam Darnold has been, over the last 2 years, last year, this year, one of the 5 best quarterbacks.
As league executives circled one conclusion after recent film review and front office chatter, Seattle didn't rebuild, they rearmed. This isn't chaos football or lucky wins. This is intentional domination layered with patience, speed, and cold-blooded efficiency. The Seahawks stopped chasing trends and started bending the league back toward physical, disciplined football with explosive teeth. That combination is deadly. The front office didn't overpay for headlines. They stacked depth, prioritized versatility, and built a roster that survives injuries instead of collapsing under them. The scariest part? Seattle did it quietly. No offseason victory laps, no flashy desperation trades. As this team was constructed with one purpose.
And then their offense is arguably as explosive as it gets.
Gonna let it fly. Got a man deep. Reaching up. Touchdown! Seahawks!
Sustain pressure across 4 quarters and make opponents miserable by the 3rd drive. That's why defensive rotations stay fresh. That's why offensive tempo stays unpredictable. That's why games feel suffocating late. Recent matchups exposed it all. Seattle doesn't chase shootouts unless necessary. They dictate pace. They bleed clock. They bait mistakes. They force quarterbacks into long yardage hell while the crowd noise eats communication alive. That environment breaks teams mentally before the scoreboard reflects it. The league feared Seattle returning to this identity, balanced, physical, opportunistic, and ruthless, because it doesn't rely on perfect conditions. Cold weather? Fine. Road games? Fine. Injuries? Built for it. This is championship infrastructure, not a highlight reel.
This Seahawks team is a problem. They got talent everywhere. They got dogs everywhere.
As coordinators are already adjusting weekly prep schedules because Seattle doesn't give obvious tells. Pre-snap looks morph. Coverage shells rotate late. Offensive tendencies flip by quarter. That's coaching confidence, and it shows. Seattle didn't just upgrade talent, they upgraded belief. The sideline energy isn't frantic anymore, it's surgical. Calm teams with violent execution win in this league, and the Seahawks are checking every box. If the NFL feared anything about Seattle's return, it was this defense. The Seahawks aren't chasing sacks, they're hunting breakdowns. As the defensive philosophy shifted from splash hunting to possession strangulation, and quarterbacks are panicking because of it. Seattle's front doesn't overcommit. They contain edges, collapse pockets, and wait for panic throws. That's how interceptions get served cold. Linebackers scrape with discipline. Safeties rotate late. Receivers stop freelancing routes because timing disappears. This is defensive football that breaks rhythm, not just drives. One name popping across league scouting notes is Julian Love, whose role has expanded into a roaming disruptor. As Love's communication has transformed coverage confidence, allowing disguises to hold longer. Quarterbacks hesitate, then regret it. Seattle's tackling is ruthless but clean. No arm grabs, no hoping for help. That alone swings games. Missed tackles turn into first downs. Seattle shuts that door hard. 3rd and short situations become emotional battles, and the Seahawks keep winning them. The real flex? Adjustments. Seattle doesn't repeat mistakes drive to drive. If something leaks early, it's patched fast. That shows preparation and trust. As defensive meetings are intense but clear, responsibilities are owned, not argued. Opposing offenses are averaging longer drives with fewer points, which drains confidence fast. That's psychological warfare. Teams start pressing, play callers get cute, Seattle feasts on desperation. This defense isn't flashy, it's oppressive, and oppressive units travel anywhere, anytime. The NFL feared Seattle remembering that truth, and now it's back in full force. Seattle's offense isn't loud, it's calculated, as the scheme emphasizes balance, timing, and physical punishment before explosive release. That's how defenses get lulled to sleep, then shocked. The run game isn't decorative, it's central. Seattle commits early, even when gains are modest. That patience forces linebackers to step downhill, safeties to creep, and coverage windows to widen later. That's chess, not checkers. Play action execution is surgical. Route combinations attack leverage, not coverage names. Seattle quarterbacks aren't asked to play hero ball, they're asked to punish mistakes. That's how efficiency skyrockets without reckless risk. Receivers block like linemen. Tight ends punish edges. Protection schemes shift seamlessly. As offensive communication has reached its cleanest point in years, cutting down false starts and busted plays dramatically. Red zone execution is where Seattle separates. No panic fades, no forced throws. They trust their identity. Power looks, misdirection, then strike. Touchdowns replace field goal anxiety, and that flips win probability hard. This offense doesn't chase headlines, it stacks wins, and that's exactly what the NFL feared. Seattle remembering how to win without ego. The most dangerous thing about Seattle right now isn't talent, it's confidence. As teams arrive already tense because Seattle doesn't beat itself. No freebies, no chaos penalties, no emotional collapses. Preparation against Seattle feels heavier, longer installs, more contingencies, more stress. That fatigue shows by halftime. When opponents realize the Seahawks haven't cracked, doubt creeps in. Crowd energy feeds execution, noise disrupts audibles, tempo suffocates rhythm. Seattle uses home field advantage like a weapon, not a vibe. Coaches are burning timeouts earlier than usual. That's fear, that's pressure. And Seattle capitalizes late when mistakes multiply. This is how dynasties quietly re-emerge. Not with noise, but with inevitability. The NFL sees it forming, and there's no quick fix for discipline. Seattle didn't announce anything, they simply showed it. As front offices across the league now view the Seahawks as a playoff gatekeeper. The team nobody wants to face when weather, pressure, and fatigue collide. This roster isn't maxed out yet. Chemistry is still climbing. Adjustments are still sharpening. That's terrifying, because when a team peaks late, it controls January. Seattle didn't rebuild to compete, they rebuilt to control. And now the NFL is officially on notice. The Seahawks are back smarter, tougher, and colder than ever. What really separates the Seattle Seahawks right now, and what has NFL coaches genuinely nervous, is the sideline brainpower firing on all cylinders. This isn't luck, and it's not momentum. As Seattle's coaching staff has reached a rare alignment where philosophy, preparation, and in-game adjustment all move in sync. That's deadly in the modern NFL. Seattle's weekly game plans are built backward. Instead of asking, what do we want to run? The staff asks, what do they hate defending? That mindset flips everything. Opponents prepare for tendencies that never show up, while Seattle rolls out counters designed specifically to stress personnel weaknesses. That's why first quarters feel like information gathering missions, and second halves feel like suffocation. As Seattle's coordinators are scripting defensive traps several drives ahead, they'll allow short completions early just to bait quarterbacks into trusting a look that disappears when the game tightens. That's how interceptions show up at the worst possible moments, not flashy, surgical. On offense, the sequencing has become elite. Seattle doesn't just call plays, they tell stories. A run concept in the first quarter sets up a play-action kill shot in the third. A short curl early opens a double move later. Defenses realize too late they've been conditioned, not beaten. The most underrated element is discipline. Seattle's staff demands accountability without chaos. Mistakes are corrected immediately, not punished emotionally. Players stay aggressive because they trust the system won't bury them for one misstep. That confidence leads to faster decision-making and speed kills. Clock management has quietly become a weapon. Seattle rarely looks rushed late in halves, as the staff practices end-of-game scenarios more than most teams, and it shows. Opponents burn timeouts, Seattle preserves them. That difference alone flips outcomes. The NFL feared Seattle finding this balance again, where preparation meets adaptability. It's the hardest formula to stop because there's no single weakness to attack. Beat them physically, they adjust. Try finesse, they grind you down. Outsmart them, good luck. They're already 2 moves ahead. This is championship-level coaching without ego, and it's why Seattle keeps winning games that feel close until suddenly they aren't. Behind the scenes, something massive has changed inside Seattle's locker room, and it's showing up every Sunday. As the Seahawks have fully transitioned into a player-led culture built on accountability, not noise. No drama, no clicks, just business. Veteran leadership sets the tone early in the week. Practices are sharp, not chaotic. Corrections happen peer-to-peer before coaches even step in. That's the sign of a team that trusts itself. And when players hold each other accountable, effort never dips. Young players aren't coddled, they're prepared. Seattle's development pipeline is working overtime. Rookies aren't thrown into chaos, they're eased into clearly defined roles. That clarity builds confidence fast, which is why Seattle's depth doesn't look like depth, it looks like readiness. as the locker room embraced a no-excuses identity early in the season. Injuries don't become talking points, bad calls don't become crutches, everything circles back to execution. That mindset is rare and terrifying for opponents. There's also a renewed pride in physicality. Seattle isn't trying to be liked. They want to be respected and feared, blocking to the whistle, finishing tackles, competing on every snap, even when the play isn't designed for you. That effort snowballs late in games. The sideline tells the story. No panic when momentum swings. No finger pointing after mistakes. Just helmets on, eyes forward, ready for the next series. That emotional control is what separates contenders from pretenders. The NFL feared Seattle rediscovering this locker room formula, one where belief replaces hype. Because teams like this don't collapse, they don't spiral, they respond, and Seattle has been responding all season long. When the calendar flips and the lights get brighter, certain teams disappear and others rise. As the Seahawks were built specifically for January football and the league sees it coming. Cold weather doesn't bother them. Tight games don't rattle them. Short weeks don't disrupt them. Seattle's roster construction screams postseason readiness, depth at the trenches, rotational defenders, offensive versatility. This isn't accidental, it's intentional. Seattle's run game becomes more dangerous when weather worsens. Their defense thrives when passing windows shrink. Their patience becomes a weapon when opponents get desperate. That's playoff DNA. As playoff matchups are already being debated quietly in front offices and one sentiment keeps repeating. Anyone but Seattle. That's not hype, that's respect mixed with fear. Special teams execution tightens late in the year, and Seattle's units have been rock solid. Field position battles tilt their way, hidden yards pile up. Those small advantages decide playoff games. The Seahawks don't need perfect conditions to win. They don't need shootouts, they don't need early leads, they just need time. Because they wear teams down mentally and physically. By the fourth quarter, opponents look tired. Seattle looks focused. This is exactly what the NFL feared. A disciplined, balanced, emotionally steady Seahawks team entering its prime window. No rebuild, no reset, just sustained pressure. If this trend continues, Seattle won't just be a problem. They'll be the measuring stick. And when January hits, everyone will remember why this franchise has always been built for the long game. If you're rocking with this deep breakdown, hit that like button and subscribe for more real NFL analysis that doesn't sugarcoat a thing.